Hey, what's up, guys? No cold open this week, no clip, don't have anything for you, but welcome to the Rescue Michigan weekly live stream. We are back on Rumble again. They somehow, I don't know what happened last week, but they just reverted back to the way they had been. And so we are on Rumble. Of course, we are also on Facebook and YouTube and even Twitter as well. So there you go. Are we showing up on Rumble yet? Let's see here. I played it. Okay, yeah, we're going. All right, good. Hey, Richard, how are you doing? Hope you guys had a productive week despite the power failures. I lost power for a full day, and that was no fun at all. But the good news is that they canceled session on Thursday. So there was no hearing on the gun bills that was going to happen last Thursday, but it got postponed. So it's going to be a crazy week this upcoming week in Lansing. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We will keep you posted when we hear more about what's going on. But of course, the big things to fight we've been talking about over the emails this past few weeks. The gun bills, there's 3 of them, the worst of them being the red flag bill, but there's also lock up your safety, which would basically prevent you from having a firearm handy in your home where you might actually need it in case, someone breaks into your house. I don't know. Oh, my phone's ringing. Gotta decline that one. And then also the universal gun registration bill, or as they call it, background checks. Of course, most of the time when you buy a firearm, you have to take a background check anyway. If you buy at any gun store and at gun shows, almost all the people there are FFL holders, so they make you get a background check. But this bill would eliminate all private transactions. So parent can't give their children a gun. You can't sell one to your friend. You can't exchange one at a gun show. You can't do any of that stuff under those bills. But as I've said, hey, Patty, see you in the chat there. But the worst of the worst of the worst of them, and they're all terrible, but the worst being the red flag bill, which, for those who don't know, what the red flag bill essentially says is if someone accuses you of being dangerous, then you have no right to defend yourself. They come in, take your guns away, and you can just go through the nightmare that is the American legal system to petition to get your Second Amendment rights back. That's how they go. And I've told the story before, so I'm not going to go through the entire thing again, but the worst case example of this was what happened to Lucas Gerhard, a student at Lake Superior State University, made a joke among friends, and someone who wasn't even included in the joke on Snapchat is where it was uttered. Went to the police. Guy was thrown in jail, spent the next almost 3 years of his life in some form of custody, 83 days in jail, and then house arrest ever since. Only to, at the last minute, be offered a plea bargain he couldn't refuse, to say, just don't stay out of trouble for a year and it'll be taken off your record and everything. And that only happened after a number of us petitioned the court to live stream the entire trial so the whole world could see what happened. Barry asks, have any red flag laws made it through the court appeals process? I am not aware. I am not aware of that having happened. I'm also not aware of any red flag laws actually preventing any crimes either. So I don't know, but you never want to leave something up to the courts. And who knows how high you would need to go. To the U.S. Supreme Court, again, I mean, that can take years. The courts are busy. They often just decline to hear cases. What are the odds that you're going to have a good judge in this state? Well, depending on where you are. And the Michigan Supreme Court is controlled by Democrats as well. So fat chance on that. Patty says we've seen all the tattletales during the COVID lockdowns. These are the same people who report people about guns using the red flag laws. Exactly right. That's what it's all about. It's to declare open season on conservatives. And what they did to Lucas was politically motivated. No question about it. And they want to do that to everybody. And on that note, the other big piece of legislation moving through Lansing now, which I hear a lot of people call it the Elliot Larson thing, or the Elliot Larson bill or whatever, which is so confusing to people because a lot of people don't know. The Elliot Larson is our civil rights law. And what these bills are really talking about is adding gender identity and sexual orientation to being civil rights. And as with the red flag bill, it's all about lawfare. It's all about their ability to sue everybody into the dirt. It's all about going after conservative business owners, saying, oh, you don't have enough transgender employees. You must be discriminating. Oh, well, let's just have the courts figure this out then, huh? And they're going to drag them all into court. Chick-fil-A, Menards, every conservative-owned business. Might be yours. And that's all coming down the pike. So the main thing that we can do to fight these bills is to put pressure on certainly any Republican lawmakers thinking of voting for any of these things. And we've seen from this article in the Free Press, some of them were thinking about it. Let me pull the story up. I should have probably done this before I started the show. Here's where they stand on gun rights. Dwayne asks, Menards, question mark? Yeah, Menards was on Dana Nessel's target list. There, I mean, that is a known thing. And that's why they were really, really bad during the COVID lockdowns, because they were scared to death they'd be the first ones in her crosshairs. So, yeah. Hold on. Michigan Free Press. See if I can find this article. Where Michigan lawmakers stand. This might be it. Let's see. Yep, here we go. I found the story. All right, let me bring this up on the screen. Oh, paywalled. Hold on. Let me see if I can find something else. Yeah, Dwayne says Menards pushed masks. I don't shop there anymore. Yeah, but the reason why they were pushing the mask is because they were so scared of Dana Nessel. That's what that was all about. I think I saw this mirrored in the USA Today, so I should be able to find this someplace. What we learned from surveying. Okay, this might do the trick. Here we go. All right, found it. What we learned from surveying all 148 Michigan lawmakers on gun safety measures. Now, the smart ones did not respond to the survey. I know when I worked in the legislature, our policy was we do not answer surveys from, read this. It's one of the back to the Free Press. Well, anyway, the point is we mentioned this in our email. Which ones indicated they were squirrely and which ones, we didn't hold it against them if they didn't answer the survey, But a lot of them just said, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. Yeah, I would support lock up your safety legislation. Sure, why not? Yeah, Dwayne says mom and pop restaurants stood up. Yeah, that's true. That's true that they did. And some businesses had a lot of courage in that respect. But, I don't blame people for being afraid of Dana Nessel. That's just the way that goes. So those are the two big things: are the gun rights bills and the transgender bills. Those are all going to be the things we're going to be fighting tooth and nail for the immediate future, perhaps the foreseeable future. And of course, the other thing is trying to repeal right to work. But for those of you who want to keep an eye on everything else going on in the legislature, go to rescuemichigan.com, sign up for Operation Watchdog. Every Tuesday night, we do a full rundown of everything that we're seeing in Lansing. I'll show you something else interesting I saw in Lansing, and I have to apologize once again for having to pull these things up, but I'm not all that well prepared tonight, folks. We did a grassroots leadership school in Arbor yesterday, and I love doing them and I love teaching people and training people, but they really take it out of you to be standing and practically yelling for 8 hours straight. It's a bit exhausting. But yeah, Patty, you were at the training. Let me know what you thought of it, and you're welcome to come on the show if you like. I sent you the link to the stream if you want to come on. Okay, here's the interesting bill number: 40856 6 and 7. Check this out, guys. Isn't this peculiar? This will show you something about the way lawmakers think and how they operate. So this is, let me show you this, House Bill 4085. Who are the co-sponsors? You got a Democrat sponsor and a whole bunch of Democrat sponsors and one Republican sponsor. Look at that, John Roth. Now Barry asks, is the Troy training filled yet? No, and if we need to, we'll find a larger location. So please register for the Troy training. That's coming up this Saturday, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. All right, we're gonna look at these bills for a moment. This is House Bill 4085. A lot of Democrats co-sponsoring and one Republican. Now we have this one. Oh, look at that, John Roth. That's same one Republican. Who are the co-sponsors? Democrat, 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 Democrat. Interesting. What's this next one? 4087. Co-sponsor Amos O'Neill, Democrat. Co-sponsors Democrats all and Republican John Roth. What's going on here, folks? What are these bills that have these Democrats and one Republican on them? Well, let's see here. Let's start with the one the Republican co-sponsored. Bill to amend the blah, blah, blah. And there's definitions here. Definition of child care. There's a definition added for homeless youth. Homeless youth means an individual for whom it is not possible to live in a safe environment with a relative who has no other safe living arrangement and who is either of the following: seeking shelter in a basic center, seeking enrollment in a transitional living program, less than 22 years of age. Okay. Well, that seems innocent enough. We're just defining what a homeless youth is. Okay. What are these other two bills? Let's see here. 4085. What are we doing here? Child care institution means blah, 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 except as provided in section 1B. Oh, here's that homeless youth definition again. Okay. Runaway youth means an individual seeking shelter at a basic center, as described as less than 18 years of age, who absents himself or herself from home or place of legal residence without the permission of a parent or guardian. Section 1B. A child care institution may provide services to homeless and runaway youth for up to 72 hours with or without parental consent. Wonder what kind of services. Let's see what 4087 does. 4087. It's a new bill. A brand new bill. A brand new piece of legislation. Not an amendatory act, not changing an existing piece of law. A brand spanking new bill. A bill to allow homeless or runaway youth access to health care without parental consent. And to allow healthcare providers to treat homeless or runaway youth without parental consent. Remember that one thing in Prop 3, the thing we were talking about that the media never talked about, that the media didn't want any of the voters in Michigan to know about? What was that one thing? Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that one bit about allowing minors to sexually mutilate themselves and get sex change operations. Interesting. Now we have a bill. So, kids, if your parents don't want to let you get that sex change operation you want, run away. Run away, because guess what? There's taxpayer-funded resources out there for you. And they'll be happy to provide whatever health care you might need without your parents' consent. You just got to run away for a while. Incredible, isn't it? Isn't that incredible, people? So let's talk about this one guy, John Roth. Yeah, Mike Foxtrot asks, who is this John Roth? He's a rep from the UP, I believe. Let's see here. Visit my webpage. Okay, let's go visit his webpage. There he is, John Roth, 104. So that's up there. I don't see a map of the district handy, but I'll bet you. Oh, okay, there you go. He's from Interlochen. Is that how you pronounce that? I hope. Let's see here. Here's what's going on with this guy. I'll tell you, because this is, Traverse City area is where he's from. Here's what these lawmakers always want to do. They want PAs, public acts. They want a picture of them getting legislation signed into law by the governor. And with very few exceptions. I mean, John Riley might be an exception. But for the most part, they are desperate for those things. They want PAs. They want to be able to go back to their district and tell their constituents, look at this, I got something signed into law. Isn't that great? And conversely, they're nervous. If they don't get anything signed into law, they're worried they're going to be attacked. He's ineffective. He can't get anything signed. Now, if I was a Republican lawmaker, I'd wear that as a badge of honor. Yeah, I'm so busy doing all the important things for my constituents that nothing I do is not going to be vetoed by Gretchen Whitmer, who is rotten to the core on every single issue under the sun. I mean, that's what I would say if I was a politician. But they want these PAs, and the Democrats come a knocking and say, hey, we got something that's totally non-controversial, and we'd love to be able to call this a bipartisan bill. So we'll give you this bill in this package, and all it does is, and it's just a definition. That's all it is. It just defines what a runaway is. That's all it defines. It's just a definition. It's a minor thing, but it'll get signed into law. It'll be bipartisan. You'll get your PA. I'll bet you that's the conversation. I'll bet you that's how that went. I'll bet you. So now when they pass this, the Democrats can crow that it's a bipartisan bill. It's bipartisan. We had one Republican on it. One Republican. Dwayne says Pete Buttigieg area. The area Traverse is Traverse City turns into it's getting like more and more like Ann Arbor every year. It's sad to see. Sad to see. It says known for its music camp for high school kids, band camp on steroids. I'll bet. Mike Foxtrot Oscar says checking boxes. Yeah, oh yeah. That's the way that goes, folks. So if you happen to know anyone in that area, feel free to ask him to contact John Ross' office about what the heck he's doing, because he probably doesn't understand. I hate to say that, but a lot of politicians honestly don't even know what these things are. Don't even read the bills. And if they did read them, they still wouldn't understand them. But now you know. All right, so with that, that's about all I've got for the update for this week. I was without power for a day, and many of you probably were as well. It totally screws everything up. So going to be getting back into the swing of things again this week, fighting all these things coming down the pike in Lansing, probably fighting some things coming down the pike in Washington, and maybe even a few good things. One thing that we've been I've taken a notice on is there's a bill in the House to defund the World Health Organization. I don't know if you guys saw this story, but the WHO is now saying that they don't need the Senate to ratify their treaty. And what's the WHO treaty? Oh, it's just, imposing a global police state using your health. So WHO treaty, let me see if I can find a news story about this. This is actually one of the most dangerous things in the Constitution, by the way, is the treaty power. Because according to the Constitution of the United States, anything else in the Constitution notwithstanding, treaties are law of the land. They can go around the 10th Amendment using treaties. In fact, that's happened before. There was a bill some years ago, there was a bill called the Migratory Birds Act, which outlawed their hunting, and it got to the courts. And guy argued before a judge and said, this is a violation of the 10th Amendment. You can't do this. You can't outlaw hunting because it's not a federal issue. It's a state issue. And the judge agreed with him. A few years later, different guy, same case, same courtroom, same judge, expecting the same result. Guess what happened? I'm sorry, sir, but in the meantime, the Migratory Birds Treaty has been ratified, and you're going to jail. And here it is. Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918 between Canada, Mexico. Mexico came in later, but entered into it with Canada to ban migratory birds. Okay, well, that's an end run around the Constitution. So they've constantly sought to use treaties to do what they can't otherwise get done through Congress. So now the argument is, well, we're not going to get 2/3 of the votes in the Senate to ratify the treaty. So let's just not call it a treaty anymore. Let's see if I can find this article. World Health Organization Treaty. Look at these dirty, filthy liars. Hold on. Share screen. This is the AP, Associated Press. The WHO pandemic treaty draft doesn't sign over U.S. sovereignty, except that it does. Claim, a legally binding World Health Organization pandemic treaty will give the organization the authority to control U.S. policies during a pandemic, including those on vaccines, lockdowns, school closures, and more. AP's assessment. AP are dirty, filthy, goddamn liars. Does not overrule any nation's ability to pass individual pandemic-related treaties, except that it does, because that's what the Constitution allows. This is the zero draft of it. I'm not going to read through this whole thing with you guys, but it is extraordinary. And yes, it does regulate. It says it can regulate your vaccines, regulate prophylactics, regulate travel. All that stuff is in there. So there's actually a bill in Congress, House Bill 343, to defund the World Health Organization. I want to find the actual article that doesn't just editorialize with false information. Let's see what Ron Johnson says. He put in a bill to say that it's not going to count as a treaty. The No WHO Pandemic Preparedness Treaty without Senate approval Act. Yeah, except it's not going to get signed by. Yeah. Bill says if it's not ratified by Congress, then it should not be enforceable. I agree. Unfortunately, people in black robes sometimes don't. You never know what the heck they're going to do. And yeah, so Ron Johnson, the WHO, along with our federal health agencies, failed miserably in their response and appear with a new international treaty that would increase its power at the expense of American sovereignty. And this goes on and on and on and on. All these Republicans signed on. Barry says treaties should take 2/3. They do take 2/3. They do take 2/3. And that's why the new talking point is, well, it's not going to be a treaty. It's just going to be an international executive agreement. So will the courts uphold that? Well, yeah, it is a treaty. It looks like a treaty, quacks like a treaty. It's a treaty. So we're just gonna call it a treaty, and we'll see how that works. So the bill in the House, 343, Chip Roy of Texas introduced it. It's got, I think, 22 co-sponsors, including, to my surprise, John Molinar, congressman from mid-Michigan, co-sponsored it, but the others have not, and we're going to start pressuring them on doing that. Get the ball rolling on that, because the House can just refuse to fund the WHO. They could actually do that. And we ought to be demanding the Republicans in the House refuse to fund the World Health Organization. So that's coming up. All right, anyway. Rest of the stream, you might be wondering about that stream title. I think we got to talk a bit about the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. As of this week, it's been now a full year of war in Ukraine. I heard a story about Bakhmut from a reporter claiming that there are just corpses everywhere. They're picking them up and they're creating more as fast as they can. They're hoping to pick up the bodies before the spring thaw and the decomposition accelerates, and the stench of bodies is going to be completely, utterly overwhelming. The escalation is happening by the day. The Ukrainians are fighting heroically to defend their country, and they're being slaughtered in a war that was started by the Biden administration. And let there be no doubt about this, folks. You know, the media incessantly says it was a totally unprovoked war of aggression by Russia. Totally unprovoked. Yeah, when the media repeats something constantly, you should know they're doing that because, of course, the war was provoked. And we know it's been the U.S. policy to kick Russia for decades, including, of course, and this should mean something, scapegoating them for the 2016 election that was won by Donald Trump, and papering over the Joe Biden administration and Joe Biden's personal corrupt family ties into Ukraine, for which they staged a false impeachment of Donald Trump, the first one. This has been an administration with a get Russia policy going back to Boris, going back to the Cold War, really. But you remember Donald Trump's campaign? Remember Donald Trump in 2016? Why would we go at war with Russia? What's wrong with having peace? What's wrong with having peace? Dwayne says, show me the bodies. We've heard so many stories. Who knows anymore? Well, if you want to go to Telegram channels, you can find, and God knows I've seen a horrifying number, because I do believe in making myself see things. And, you know, we did our grassroots leadership school yesterday, and we were talking about the transgender stuff. And I mentioned in my email blast the other day, I literally cannot show you how gruesome the photos are of child sexual mutilation that doctors are proudly performing. It's truly revolting. I could not bring myself to put that into an email, not only because it probably would have led to getting a lot of issues with my ability to send email, but you just can't put an image like that in front of a person. But if you want to go to Telegram, you can see him, man. You can see him. And, you know, I think also it should be said, there has to be some common sense about this stuff. If you want to know how the war is going, well, which side's taking territory and which side is losing territory? Which side are we seeing reports coming out day after day after day saying, Dwayne says, I'm talking about Ukraine. I know, but the same principle. I'm not going to throw images of dead bodies up on my stream. Sorry. But you want to go to Telegram channels and look for them. You can find them. And they are horrific. The worst of them being the ones from the flamethrowers. And it's not flamethrower like you picture in the movies or like the one that Elon Musk sells. No, they have like these little tanks that just hurl giant balls of flame on people. And yeah, it's beyond horrific. It's awful. It's the reality of war, that hundreds of thousands of people are being killed and thousands more are going to be killed every day. And you see these stories coming up saying, we're running out of things we can send Ukraine. We don't have enough tanks to send anymore. Germany says this. I saw a story from the USA saying, yeah, we're doubling our artillery production because we don't have much more we can give if we don't ramp this up. Look, folks, Russia is an industrial country. We're not. You know who else is an industrial country? Is China. And there was this article that came out just the other day. This is an incredible, well, it's incredible for how different it is. And I'm going to put this on the screen. This is Chinese propaganda. I know that. It has the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the People's Republic of China. It's China saying this. So I understand this is Chinese propaganda. That still doesn't mean we can't read it. We can read it and think about what it means that China is saying these things. U.S. hegemony and its perils. And there's 5 parts to it. It reads like a Noam Chomsky book. Political hegemony, throwing its weight around, want, use of force, etc., etc. Economic hegemony, technological, blah, blah, blah. The purpose of this, and the reason why I'm showing this, is because this is not how China has spoken about the U.S. in the past. This is something very, very new. Now, that doesn't mean that China hasn't had this attitude for a long time, but they haven't published it on their website until now. Now they're telling the whole world. And what they're telling the whole world is the U.S. is bad for you. They boss you around. They control you. And there's talking here about Syria and Afghanistan and all the rest. I mean, all this stuff. And the conclusion they say is countries need to respect each other as equals. Big countries should behave in a manner befitting their status and take the lead in pursuing a new model of state-to-state relations featuring dialogue and partnership, not confrontation or alliance. China opposes all forms of hegemonism. That's them saying they oppose the U.S. in power politics and rejects interference in other countries' internal affairs. The United States must conduct serious soul-searching, must critically examine what it has done, let go of its arrogance and prejudice, and quit its hegemonic, domineering, and bullying practices. So that's China saying this, which China didn't used to say. Now they're saying it. Who are they saying it to? Everyone else in the world. And there are stories coming out in the news today. This Chinese diplomat, Wang Yi, met with all these European officials and is telling all of them, you guys should really get away from the U.S. What in the world are you doing in Ukraine? And they're saying to everybody, we're with Russia on this. They almost have an official military alliance with Russia. We're struggling to arm Ukraine to even be competitive in this. What do you think is going to happen if China starts sending actual arms to Russia? You think we can compete with that? And what is any of this for? What is any of this for? There's a lot of people in the news have rightly pointed out that we have infrastructure at home that's crumbling, that's breaking, that's causing environmental disasters, and we have no money for East Palestine, Ohio. We have only money for Ukraine. And what are we getting for our money? Corpses. Corpses and enemies. Corpses and enemies in the world. It is a disaster, it is a mess, and it is a disgrace that the Republicans aren't talking about this, that they're too afraid to talk about what Joe Biden's role in all of this is. When that Nord Stream pipeline blew up, everyone knew from the get-go, we did that. Why? How'd they know that? Because we had the motive, the means, and the opportunity. Because we economically crippled Europe having done it, and now they're buying our gas at exorbitant prices. The other reason, because American officials couldn't stop giggling after it happened. Ooh, looks like you lost your pipeline. Ooh, sorry, Germany. And now Seymour Hersh is reporting leaves absolutely no doubt. Seymour Hersh is the most celebrated journalist in the country for a reason. When he published stories, they were absolute blockbusters. They were front pagers. And everybody took them seriously. That's not a guy who repeats rumors. And having now no doubt anymore whatsoever that we blew up that pipeline is the most impeachable offense any American president has ever committed. Because every member of Congress says, no, we got no briefing about that. The president had to tell us if this happened. He didn't tell you. They withheld that from Congress. You understand the significance of this, folks? We blew up the critical infrastructure of an ally, Germany, an ally. That is as impeachable as anything any president has ever done. It makes Nixon look like nothing. Trump's things really were nothing. Where's Donald Trump on this, by the way? He having endured 2 impeachments for political cover for Biden, remember? You think he, of all people, he would be leading the call, the rallying cry, impeach Joe Biden. He committed war crimes against an ally, an economic Pearl Harbor event. We're lucky the winter was mild this year. People in Germany would be freezing to death. What is Trump tweeting about? Let's see. Crooked Democrat prosecutors, many of them racist, are trying to steal a second presidential election. Biden should have gone to Ohio. Well, that's at least adjacent to the issue. Okay. Free Trump gold bar, sponsored truth. He cheated on the elections. The whole system's rigged. Why isn't he being prosecuted? Democrats know how to cheat. Prosecutorial misconduct against me. Final round of live golf. Psycho prosecutor assigned to me. I'm better than Ron DeSantis. Paul Ryan's a loser. Mitt Romney. This is sad, folks. This is sad. I hope Trump gets back on his game at some point, but the magic of 2016 is not there. And someone's got to be telling this guy, hey, man, you want to be president again? Lead a populist movement that America needs. Yeah, Patty says Trump is pathetic. I agree. This is sad. Sad to see. Because Congress could investigate this. There have been investigations, and all they say is, well, we don't think Russia blew up that pipeline. Well, who do you think did? Who has the motive, the means, and the opportunity? And what else does that pipeline prove, by the way? That was part of our geopolitical strategy. To create a conflict in Russia and use the conflict to leverage the breakup of any cooperation between Russia and Europe, which Europe needed that cheap gas. And now they don't have it. We attacked an ally because we're not very good to our friends, are we? And I hate to tell you, folks, the world's taking notice. And China's putting the world on notice. And that's bad for us. It's dangerous for us. And it's pretty sad. And believe me, I am no fan of China. None of us should be. Because they don't have a constitution, they don't have a Bill of Rights, and they don't have any tradition of liberty. So we better fight for it pretty hard here. We got to get some of these Republicans to grow a pair, grow a spine, grow a brain, and start actually talking about the things that matter. So I guess that's probably about all I've got for this week, folks. Might be a short stream. All I can say is I hope there's another power failure that keeps Lansing out of session again. But maybe we shouldn't wish for that. I don't know. But sooner or later, these things are going to come up. And we have a limited amount of time to, one, make sure these Republicans don't get hoodwinked, which, as we just saw, they're very easily hoodwinked. And B, get any number of Democrats, even one, to vote no. Because there are Democrats with concerns about their pro-2A constituency, and they know they exist. And feel free to remind them about the assault weapons ban of 1994, which led to the biggest Democrat bloodbath in decades, and then the Schumer-Toomey Manchin deal in 2013, which led to one of the biggest Democrat bloodbaths in decades too. So silver lining on that, even if we do lose our gun rights, at least it'll help us out in the election. I'd prefer my gun rights, thank you very much. But these are the battles we're going to have to fight. And we're going to have to inform a lot of people about what was really in Prop 3 and give them some good old buyer's remorse. And maybe yet take back power in 2024. So that's all I got for tonight. If you want a lot more of me, come to the event in Troy this Saturday, March 4th, Grassroots Leadership School. Patty, if you have any thoughts on the school you want to share with people, other than Adam goes a mile a minute and doesn't come up for air, you're welcome to let people know what your thoughts were about the school. Carrie Woodman has just posted, see Chris Ann Hall's info about the Constitution compared to James R. shouting from the rooftops regarding the Who's power grabs. I'll put this on the screen so you guys can see. I have no idea whose link that is and what it's going to say behind it, so buyer beware. But there you go. So if you missed that, you can always, of course, just watch the stream again later and pause the video and you'll see that link again. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me for tonight. And hopefully I'll have more energy next time. Although it'll be coming off of another Grassroots Leadership School in Troy. I hope you guys do sign up. And we are also talking about booking one. We've been saying Jackson. I met some folks there at the event, at the event yesterday. I think it might be somewhere between Jackson and Lenawee County now, because there's some Lenawee people that want to have one there. So we'll see. I will, of course, let everybody know when it is booked. And Patty says, if you're serious about winning and making a difference, I highly recommend attending. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate those kind words. And Carrie also says, discerning and appreciate your thoughts. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. See y'all next week. And until then, thank you guys for all that you do for liberty.